can see the detailed study of this essay, that is some of the important facts. So here the essay opens by declaring that there is a transformation in the teaching profession. Nowadays it has become very prevalent, and it has transformed from what it was a once it was a private affair. Now it has become a public service. Okay, and in this essay few important personalities are mentioned, that is those people who stood against doctrination by the government, who stood by their doctrines, that is they stood for their ideas. Those people were Socrates. You know that he is the Greek philosopher from Athens, and he was punished for that reason. Okay, he was sentenced to death, and he was sentenced to death by drinking the poison hemlock. Hemlock was the poison, and he drank it and died. That was the punishment given for him. The reason was that he just stood for he was convicted for propagating wrong ideas to the students. That is his students. He influenced his students. That was the crime that he committed, and we know that the sixth history Socrates is one of the most influential person in the world. And Plato, his student, that is he was also punished, and he was imprisoned for some period of time. Okay, that is Greek philosopher. He is also Plato is another Greek philosopher. He was a follower or student of Socrates, and Aristotle was a student of Plato. Okay, now we can see some of other important facts. So in this essay, Bertrand Russell says that there is extreme interference of church during those days, and this interference of authority in this educational field has resulted in death of some of the major personalities, famous personalities like Galileo. He was an Italian astronomer. You must be familiar with him. He was convicted of heresy, and he was forced to recant. That means that he was a scientist, and he was an astronomer, physicist, engineer, and a polymath. He was such a great personality, and he stood for heliocentrism. That is, according to the belief of Christianity back then, like most of the Semitic religions, they believe that this sun, Earth is in the center of the universe, and everything, the even the sun is revolving around Earth. So actually Galileo stood for heliocentrism, and that is the reason why he was convicted of heresy, and then later he was sentenced to house arrest until his death in 1642. So that is done by the church. And Giordani Bruno, another important Italian Dominican friar, he was also a mathematician, a philosopher. He was burnt at the stake as a punishment because he also supported this heliocentrism. He supported the idea that the concept that the sun is in the center of the this solar system. Okay, that is another important personality, Galileo, and then Giordano Bruno. Okay, now we have he says that nowadays education is in the grip of dogmatism. Governments consider educating population as an opportunity to instill their propaganda in their citizens. That is the problem. So literacy should be there, education should be a public affair, but Ted Russell supports that idea. But the thing is that nowadays governments are using this as an opportunity to indoctrinate the population. For them, status of a teacher became like a civil servant, just to fulfill the just as a tool in the hands of government to fulfill the prescribed syllabus by the government. Example, Nazi Germany, Italy, Russia, Japan, etc. All these countries propagated fanatical nationalism. That is the way how they influence their people. Okay. and then the teacher should safeguard human civilizations, and the teachers are the guardians of civilizations. So he says, what is civilization? Civilization is not the buildings or the cars or the materialistic aspects, not material. It is a thing of mind and not of material adjuncts to the physical side of living. It is a matter of partly of knowledge, partly of emotion. So a teacher without free will can spawn fear, arrogance, and cruelty in the children. So, if the teacher doesn't have a free will, what he does is that just propagate the ideas or the concepts given or prescribed by the government. And what happens is that now, with through this continuous process, the children are going to hate other people. That is the end result of this particular process. If the teacher doesn't have a free will. Now, another major problem for teachers is that overwork. When they don't have free time, when they don't have enough time to explore themselves, they are going to stick on to the daily routine, and this is going to adversely affect the the idea, the concepts of teacher, and gradually it is going to affect the teacher pupil relationship. Okay, now example of propaganda as given in this particular essay is America's subject civics. So back then, political science was called as civics, and this subject civics is a sort of copybook account of how public affairs are supposed to be conducted. So in this book, they teach their children how to behave, or how the public affairs are to be supposed to be conducted. And the result, he says that the end result of these kind of things is cynicism. Cynicism means that once the children grow up, they realize that whatever we learned at our school is complete useless, is complete waste. That is, when we know that now, when we turn back and look at our schooling days, we know that the syllabus, many of the concepts that we discuss, or we were taught as important, are just trash. So the same thing, that is, now when we grow up, we realize that we shouldn't believe, we shouldn't trust people blindly. That is cynicism. The element of cynicism can make a person extremely doubtful towards others. When they grow up, that is going to happen if we try to propagate these kind of things through the textbook. And then, that is, no man can be a good teacher. He says that no man can be a good teacher unless he has feelings of warm affection towards his pupils and a genuine desire to impart to them what he himself believes to be of value. He says that unless a teacher cannot feel warm affection towards his pupils and a genuine desire to impart the values, then a teacher cannot be considered as a good teacher. Now, what is the attitude? On the other hand, if a teacher is just acting as a propagandist, now we will see the attitude of a propagandist. The propagandist does not desire that his pupils should survey the world and freely choose a purpose which to them appears of value. He desires, like a Topiarian artist, that their growth shall be trained and twisted to suit the gardener's purpose. So gardener's purpose means that nations or government's purpose. Okay, so here a teacher acts like a topiarian, who is an a person practicing ornamental gardening. They can twist and turn, and we know that there is some kind of a particular field in botany where there are people, specialized people, who can bend the trees, or who can make the twists and turns uh, uh, by using some kind of wires and that kind of things. Okay, so that these kind of people are topiarian artists. Now here he says that is the Bertrand Russell says that the gardeners purpose is, here the government's purpose is to just fulfill their objectives. And here, just like the Torpierian artist, the teacher, the propagandist, the propagandist is just trying to do uh, is trying to thwart means to control, and in thwarting their natural growth, he is apt to destroy in them all generous vigor, replacing it by envy, destructiveness, and cruelty. That is what a propagandist type of teacher does. Okay. Now, a topiarian is a person practicing ornamental gardening. So, actually, the growth of a person is compared with the natural growth of a plant. Here, Bertrand Russell is trying to compare it in that way, and he says that a real teacher will let the child grow in a natural way, and they can find the values that are suited to him by himself. But actually, nowadays the teachers are working as propagandists who are acting like Toperian artists who are thwarting, who are controlling, twisting, and turning the natural growth of a child. That is the point. Okay. Now, the teacher is like a kind of medical man. Actually, a teacher should be like a medical man whose purpose is to cure the patient of childishness. He says that, see, in this essay, he at some point he says that, see, will you decide to give this medical jobs to anyone who doesn't practice or who doesn't study medicine? So that is, we will take only these people, those people who studied medicine for that purpose, isn't it? We only assign that kind of job to an expert or a professional doctor. Just like that, here a teacher is a medical man whose purpose is to cure the patient of childishness, and he's like an artist. He should be free, like an artist, philosopher, and a writer. So for a teacher to exploit the maximum of that inner energy or creative energy, a teacher should be free like an artist, philosopher, and a writer. Okay. The solution to overcome totalitarianism is also given in this essay. That is, a certain degree of independence for bodies performing useful public work, and among such bodies, teachers deserve a foremost place. He says that is, teachers should have a certain freedom to choose the material, the things, the matter that he or she is going to teach in the class, and the method that he or she is going to employ in the class. Then the plutocratic government is a government by the wealthy. That is also given in the term is given in that essay. There should be deliberate restraint from powerful authorities not to interfere in education and in the role of teacher. That is the suggestion by this author. And in order to keep all the human achievements intact, we must let some loopholes in every systems. So Bertrand Russell demands that we must let have some loopholes, some kind of freedom or independence in some fields in order to utilize all the human achievements. So these are the important points related to the essay.